nominated for 6 Oscars, including some of the acting awards, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture of the Year. This is Minari. Hey everybody, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my channel and my standalone spoiler-free review for the new A24 film Minari, nominated for many things at this year's Oscars, some of which I mentioned at the top. It's already won some awards from other shows, including the Golden Globes, where it was nominated for and won Best Foreign Film. That actually stirred up a little bit of controversy because the Globes had a rule that, well, it's more than 50% in a different language, in this case Korean. So we can't put it up in Best Picture, but we can put it in Best Foreign Film. Well, the Academy Awards recently changed Best Foreign Film to be called Best International Feature. And since this movie actually is made in America by A24, well, you're not going to put it in the international category, so instead it did get nominated for a lot of the bigger awards, including Best Picture. And just because something got nominated for foreign film at the Oscars back in the day, it also could have been nominated for Best Picture. I know Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one example of that. Parasite, last year's winner, is one example of that. So it could have been nominated in both, but as things are, this is an American-made film. So if you are new to Dan Reviews It, welcome. Thank you for finding this video. Please consider subscribing or hitting that little bell next to it, getting all of my alerts when I have new videos. I've been releasing a lot of movie reviews lately as we're ramping up to the Oscars here. I was putting on hold some of them until the Oscar nominations came out, and now that they're out, I've been really trying to keep up with the ones that I've missed along the way, and Minari is certainly one of them. So this movie is essentially an autobiography from director Lee Isaac Chung, who is up for Best Director. He wrote the film as well. And essentially, as a young boy in the 80s, his Korean family moved to Arkansas to start a farm and try and find, their version of the American dream. And that is essentially what this film is about. Shortly after they moved there, the cantankerous, sassy grandmother comes into the picture, played by Oscar-nominated for this role, Yoon Yoo-jung, and she plays the grandmother. And the bulk of this movie is, though, about the kid, which is also why it's sort of, autobiographical to Chung's life. Alan Kim plays the young son, David. I don't know if they ever give his age in the movie, but I would place him to be about 8, maybe, somewhere around there. But a lot of the movie has to do with the family dynamic. Steven Yeun and Han Yi-ri play the parents, and they're, going through their own sort of crises within the family. It's a big change for them. Is this going to work out? And that sort of thing. And also the other sort of main role, I guess you could say, is the role of this water diviner that Steven Yeun's character decides that they sort of need to help out the farm. And so his name is Paul, played by Will Patton, and he is this sort of oddball guy that I think maybe provides some comic relief to the movie, but also, I think is pretty typical of, that sort of era. And that sort of part of the country. Very religious, a little bit, left of center in terms of just, interacting with people and whatever. He's a little bit of an oddball. So he sort of adds to that dynamic. But this movie is really good, okay? However, I was expecting amazing. I was expecting great. It's at a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's up for all of these awards. And so I was really going into it thinking, okay, this is going to be like tops of the year for me, top 5 maybe, da-da-da-da-da. The truth is, it is very good. So this is going to be sort of an interesting review because I am going to throw out some negatives, but at the end of the day, it is a very, very well done movie, okay? But does it make the cut for top 5? No. I'm not even sure if it makes my top 10 of the year. Now, with the Oscar nominations for Best Picture, they allow up to 10. This year, there's only 8. There's easily 2 that I would have put in before Minari, and that's Soul, the Pixar movie, and One Night in Miami, which didn't seem to get hardly any love. I think an acting nomination, and maybe that was it. But those two movies I think are both better than this. So this is not quite up to that level. And we're going to talk a little bit about why, but I'm going into it with the caveat that this is a really good movie. Okay, so don't think I'm really slamming on it. I'm sort of nitpicking to find things why it's not quite up to that level. But for one thing, Stephen Yeun, who many know from The Walking Dead. I don't watch that show, so I actually know him more from his many appearances on the Conan O'Brien show. Those guys have become sort of buddies over the years, and so I've seen actually the real Stephen Yeun more so than the acting version of Stephen Yeun doing different characters. I think he's good here, but I actually don't think he quite belongs in the best actor race this year. I think Tahar Rahim from the Mauritanian, which I did a review for last week, I think really did a much better job in his film. The film itself is not as good as Minari, but I think I would definitely sort of swap them out. I think Stephen Yeun is good here, but not great. I think probably the big revelation here is Alan Kim, the kid. You know, it's not easy as a kid actor to just be so completely authentic in your role. And I don't think this kid has many other acting experiences. So I thought that was a really well done performance from the kid. And you could maybe say that a lot of the things that transpire in this film are a little bit episodic in nature, so you're sort of going from one to the other. However, you could also say the same for Nomadland, which I gave an A+ to. I love that movie. So you know, but that was also more of a road picture. She was sort of on the road visiting and meeting these new people, so sort of makes sense that that would be more episodic. This, I think, maybe falls into that category a little too often. I also think that the Paul character is a little bit too much of an oddball. I know I said at the top that it is, you know, sort of realistic in that way, but I don't know. I was much more focused on the family itself, the family dynamic. Even when young David, you know, meets a friend, I was sort of interested in that because it's still through the eyes of David. So I think this movie is by far at its best when we're looking, you know, through David's eyes and his experiences, which again completely makes sense because the director, you know, really would have been this kid. It's his story. So when they veer away from that, I think is when I lose a little bit of interest, and maybe some of the emotional aspects as well. But let's talk about the good because there's a lot of it here. You know, other than some of the acting performances, and the grandmother is very good as well. I do think she probably deserves to be in the best supporting actress race. Again, from the Mauritanian, would have liked to see Jodie Foster there, but that's fine. You know, I think her slot is deserved. But the cinematography here is great. I think the use of the sort of warm and positive colors, because a lot of the scenes are like them in the field, in the green grass and all of that. And I think that really adds to this American dream sort of sense that this movie, you know, wants us, I think, to take away from it. So I think the use of color here is really nice. The cinematography is really good. And this is one of those movies that I do enjoy, these slice of life type movies where, you know, yeah, there's a plot sort of, but it's more about, you know, day in the life, month in the life, you know, year in the life, whatever the case may be for each different movie. But I like movies like that a lot. I think it will not be for everybody. I think some people will find it maybe boring. I think for the same reasons that some people found Nomadland boring. You know, if it's not an idea that you can really get behind of just experiencing someone's journey, then this is maybe not the movie for you. But I think a lot of the Oscar-nominated movies this year are sort of in that vein. Maybe that's because we didn't get to have a lot of the blockbusters because of COVID, you know, but instead we get a lot of these sort of smaller, more intimate movies. And I love them. I really do. I'll be actually reviewing First Cow coming up as well. It didn't get any nominations, but I thought maybe it would because it was on a lot of best of the year lists. So I sort of waited till the nominations came out to watch it, but I didn't get to review it yet. So we'll be doing that soon. But it's sort of in that same vein as well. It takes place a lot longer ago, but it is, you know, sort of a slice of life thing. And this is what Minari is. And it's what it excels at by far the most. I think this is a nice, intimate picture with a great use its characters. And that's the other thing. The characters here are great, even if maybe the performances I don't think are like the best ever. But the characters are great, and that's a tribute to the script as well. So I can see why it's up for screenplay too, because we really do get a look at these characters. Even the ones we don't spend that much time with are pretty fleshed out. And so I really appreciated that about it as well. So at the end of the day, should it be up for Best Picture? I can see it. However, I think there's a couple omissions that they could have put in its place if they were going to stick to that 8 number. But since they can have 10 nominations, I could just throw some other movies in there and be fine with that. I leave Minari with an A minus. Like I said, it is a very good movie, and so I don't want the takeaway to be he said all these negative things about it, because I do think it's great, but is it A plus level? It is not. It really is not. So that's kind of my takeaway on that. But it is enjoyable if you like those sort of more slice of life type films. So thank you for watching. We'll be back with more movie reviews every day or two here until the Oscars probably. And other than that, some newer movies coming out as well that I want to tackle. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.